legendary Star Ladder, viewers will be able to increase the Dota 2 prize pool on their own. The base prize pool is $50,000. Each ticket bought through the Dota 2 store will add $2.50 to the tournament prize pool. Support your favorite team and help the development Star Ladder Star Series. Every ticket owner gets an exclusive Weaver set.
Six-man of Na'Vi, like versus audience, will it be hard for you, like, to play in this arena, like with all those guys cheering for Na'Vi?
No, we used to it. Like we were never really the team anyone would cheer for when we first played or when we first entered Dota. So we were always just laughing at it when other teams had the bigger fan base. Like when we were in Sweden, for instance, it's always, you play at Lions, they're gonna have a bigger fan base, and you come to Star Ladder, and then like the CIS teams are gonna have a bigger fan base. So you don't really notice it too well when you're in game, but when it's like extreme like it is with Na'Vi, you just laugh at it. So it's not that bad.
But did you notice at the first game people were cheering for you, not for Alliance?
Yes, we did notice that, and that's always great. I mean, that's always, when you have the fans on your side, you just use it for a boost, and when it's not on your side, then you just, laugh at it.
Okay, thank you, good luck in match, и обратно вам слово, Иван.
Ну что ж, спасибо, Виталий.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Star Ladder, day number 2, Season 8, the Grand Finals, Land Finals continue now. I'm LDP on the summit. Of course, I'm joined here today by Ben Merlini Wu. Ben, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm having trouble hearing you, but I'm doing well.
Hopefully my audio's working.
Yeah, you're a little quiet for me as well. I'm sure we'll get that sorted out. But coming up first today, we have Na'Vi versus Fnatic, and Ben, one of these teams are going home. Best of 3, first losers bracket match. After today, one's eliminated.
Yeah, Fnatic, they looked a little bit shaken yesterday, especially after they had a really good start and just kind of threw it away.
Yeah.
It wasn't like any huge significant mistakes. Some people blamed it on the Roshan, but it was just a lot of small things that added up.
Yeah, it definitely was the case. And I mean, I felt like Fnatic looked the weakest yesterday, but they've had a chance to sleep. And we know they're capable of much better. We've seen them drop down to the losers bracket in quite a few recent events. D2L, which you were casting, EMS, at some point they did drop down, I believe, made it to the grand finals, then fell short. But they've had great runs at a lot of recent events, so not a team that you can count out by any means. And Na'Vi also looked a little iffy yesterday.
Both teams' drafts were mediocre.
Yeah.
I'd say. They weren't like amazing. They weren't terrible by. They weren't terrible.
they definitely weren't bringing the level of draft that we expect. But it's a new day, and I mean, you look at these teams and some of their signature heroes and lineups. We did get to see some Hani Invoker yesterday. We didn't see any Storm. We didn't see any Puck. We didn't see any Quap. So maybe they changed something up there. Also, what we didn't see was Era's signature heroes. There was no Lifestealer. There was no Luna. They went with his Slark twice. And I imagine coming into today, that's something that they look to change.
Are we going to see a Wisp in this series?
Yeah, that's the other thing. If it doesn't get banned, I think is the big question.
Do you think
Alliance was just either taking it or banning it? They were not giving it away to Fnatic.
I think Fnatic will probably ban it out versus. I don't think they have to ban it out versus Na'Vi though. It's not super scary.
Na'Vi did pick it yesterday, I believe, in the second game, and it didn't really do anything.
Right.
To be honest. So, well, looking at the series. Obviously, it's Na'Vi's home turf. We saw yesterday they were losing like 11-1 to Sigma. They get one kill and the crowd goes nuts. But in the pregame interview, Notel said that doesn't really bother him.
And there were some people cheering for Fnatic.
Exactly. So a lot of fans of Dota here in general, and not all hometown favorites, but Na'Vi definitely have the edge there.
We need some Swedes to come to Ukraine.
Yeah.
For Alliance.
Actually,
they're Germans.
We met some Swedes here last night.
Yeah, we did.
Apparently, they're bussing them in now. So. They need them to support the Alliance for sure.
Where's Fnatic all from? 2 from Germany, 1 from Finland?
Yeah, Hani's from Germany. Finland, do they have someone? I think Trixie's from Norway as well. Is that correct? I believe it is. They're like the hodgepodge of Nordic Europe, if you will.
Yeah, most of the European teams just like to stay with their own kind. Their own kind.
Oh boy. We're getting into dangerous territory here.
How's that dangerous?
Very early in the afternoon.
People like people that speak their own language. That's simple.
Yes, okay.
That's not racy.
Sure, that's what you meant. So looking at this matchup, any like players that you think are going to be key for either team? Anyone that performed really well yesterday that stands out to you? Anyone that needs to step their game up? Like, who are your key players for this matchup, if you had
I
to choose?
think Era needs to step his game up, but I also think it was a lot because of the Slark pick. So he didn't do very well, but it wasn't necessarily his fault.
Yeah.
I think it was a little bit of a draft fail. But at the same time, he usually does do very, very well. Mostly on Tiny and Lifestealer, I'd say those are his most two successful heroes. Aside from that, I think that Hani needs to control a little bit more in the mid game. On his Invoker, he got an Orchid, but by the time he got the Orchid, the game was already heavily in favor of Alliances. Alliance had like full control of the map, and they had a really good early game too. So when you get that kind of early game lead, you can't just throw it away. You can't just give it back to the opponent like that.
Yeah, both games they had, and that's a great point, is they had that fantastic early roaming, but they could never transition into a push. And part of that was their draft. They didn't have Trixie's Prophet. They didn't have heroes that can take towers that well.
It wasn't even that they couldn't transition and push. They couldn't even transition into any sort of map control.
Yeah,
like
that as well.
They just got kills, but they got out-farmed, and they couldn't retain any control of the map, which is very unusual.
And it just felt like all of a sudden their lineup deflated in the mid game. And there was the one really difficult Roche fight. Alliance take advantage of the Shadow Shaman Ward Trap, and using that to great effect. Is Shadow Shaman the hero that might slip into this game?
I don't
Neither team really
know.
runs it that often.
They might just ban it just to be safe, though, because I think both teams saw yesterday how big of an impact that had in the game.
Yeah, especially on the Dire side. That's where I think we're more likely to potentially see one.
Yeah, I think Fnatic needs to be more explosive as a team, and both teams could draft a little bit better. Na'Vi, I think
kind of the
mostly
same
was-
thing, to be honest, for Na'Vi. Like, I'd love to see a Havos Lifestealer, same way I think Era Lifestealer, Luna, like more of a signature hero. I mean, we saw yesterday Havos kept on trying to take fights early with Gyro, and we talked to Puppy afterwards, and he said, Gyro needs BKB. He needs BKB. He needs BKB. Until he has BKB,
Do you
he can't fight.
think that Lifestealer should be nerfed if he's just that powerful that he can just fight without BKB so effectively as a carry?
I think he's a little too strong, but not outrageous.
keeps getting the nerf stick.
He's not like Alk level strong. No, ain't no Earth Spirit. But
Are we
he's
going to see
pretty
any Alk today?
good. Are we gonna see any Bristleback for that matter?
Bristleback's like so-so. He's annoying to deal with,
Yeah.
but he's not like... I mean, I personally don't like dealing with him, but I don't think he's like supremely imbalanced. I think he does a little bit too much without items. Like, if you don't have any items, you can still do a buttload of Quill Spray damage. You still fairly tanky, and you do a lot of right-click damage. And you can't really get BKB versus him because he'll still crush you through it. So it's very hard to itemize against a Bristleback because usually the majority of the rest of the team is magic, and even if you get physical damage, it doesn't mitigate that much because he just has so much damage coming out.
Yeah, so and that's the kind of hero that can really suit Havost well. Bristleback hero that can be in the front lines, tank it up, and soak up damage.
Do
Charge.
they need another support besides Wisp like they ran yesterday?
Yeah. I just felt like they didn't have a great combo. Like, it seems like the teams that draft Wisp generally have a lineup that really suits it. They'll get like a Prophet that synergizes really well, or we'll see like a more traditional partner, like a Gyrocopter, a Tiny. Bristle just doesn't have... Neither of those heroes have stun, so a lot of times you relocate gank with those two and just TP out.
Right.
Which is the big change with Tether, I guess.
It does make him like not take that much damage, but you can just ignore him for the most part if he's not that farmed. He went pure defensive items too. He went Blade Mail, Vanguard, Pipe.
Yeah.
So he doesn't actually do that much damage. If you go like Armlet or even Drums, you can chase people down much more effectively.
As far as both teams, actually, the other thing that really stands out to me is both teams have fantastic jungle play, but we did not see any jungle play. Well, we saw Puppy jungling on Venomancer.
I think Fnatic is definitely going to ban Enchantress. No-Tail, when I was talking to him last time, he was just like, after we played against Navi's Enchantress, we just have to ban it out every single time or use it ourselves.
Yeah, and that's the thing is No-Tail plays a good jungle game as well, so something that is normally what these teams are known for is that early aggression.
I remember one time
one of the best heroes to do it with.
I was watching one of their games though, and Navi let Fnatic get Enchantress, and then they did an offensive trialing with Visage, and Visage just camped in the jungle and he couldn't even get to the camp. Yeah, and they just crushed Fnatic. So I think that Fnatic will probably just straight up ban Ench, and if they're not first pick, if they're not first pick, they're kind of forced to ban Ench and Ouch.
The Alchemist. There you go. And
I get confused with the Ench.
Well, it was a later night for some of the Navi guys, especially Kuro and Puppy, but you could see him rubbing his face. We had a later night as well, but hopefully they're well rested and ready for this match. So, anything else any closing thoughts for you?
I can check the odds on this.
Try to see if they're doing something on stage, but looks like nothing just yet. I already looked up the odds. It's 67% Navi and 33% Fnatic.
I think
Again, I don't think it's that one-sided.
Yeah, I mean, Fnatic did. We thought that the Alliance Fnatic shouldn't have been that one-sided, but Alliance kind of dominated.
But a lot of that
both
was
games.
like we said, the draft. I mean, put Era on a signature hero. Maybe they get a Wisp one game.
Maybe people know that they suck at drafting now. I mean, it's not.
it's not
that
every game.
It's not that Fnatic has been like traditionally weak versus Alliance. They've actually been traditionally strong. But
Yeah.
like as of this most recent stretch, like the past couple of weeks, past 3 weeks, they've just been, eh.
Do they need more Demon and AUI 2000 in their lives?
Maybe. The thing is, I think that threw them for a big loop because I was talking to the drafter and they were like, oh, we tried too hard to like incorporate for them the first couple games, and then after that they're just like, whatever, fuck it, we'll just pick what we feel like, and then they just didn't worry too much about things, and then they rolled with Shadow Fiend a lot, which Hani apparently begs for a lot, and they never give it to him, except they did give it to him yesterday, and it just didn't work out very well.
Yeah,
So-
he really has to, especially in this patch, teams are so aggressive with early roaming, early pressure, and Shadowfiend really needs BKB before he can fight, in most cases.
So I think they're like, well, we tried this and it worked at D2L, but now we don't have the same players, and now our player, I don't know, it just confuses them a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Era is more of a fighting carry to me, whereas AUI very comfortable at just being
He's
super
the Luna,
efficient in the jungle.
Luna farmer.
Yeah, I mean, he was incredibly efficient, and not to say that Era can't be, but that's not really his style.
Right.
Both teams, I expect a lot of blood. I mean, this is going to be a massacre. It should be, right? Navi, Fnatic, these teams like to fight early, they like to fight often, and
It was a close matchup at Dream League.
I mean, you look at the stats there, 6+ kills a game for both carries, and almost 8 for Era in the online stage.
That's a fair amount of deaths for her to carry too.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of shows their style. I think it is reflected here in the stats, which is that they're very aggressive offensive carries.
Yep. Havos with the Lifestealer. I'm surprised. Has Era played Storm?
It's normally Hani.
Yeah.
That's kind of a weird one to throw in here, but
I think that Tiny.
I think a Lifestealer should be here. Tiny is definitely a signature, but unless they get the Wisp, we're not going to see it.
I like Tiny as a carry. I don't necessarily think you need a Wisp for him.
But they're not going to pick him without
Yeah,
Wisp.
that's true.
I don't think I've ever seen any team.
Here's the
really.
mid matchup: Dendi versus Hani. Both of them rather lackluster performances yesterday, but they're usually very, very strong. They kind of like the same heroes too. Both of their mags are like meh. Both of their storms are really good. Their puck, this